I got it.
Thanks, man. I'll call you later.
You promise to keep that safety on?
Promise. See ya.
See ya.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Ozark Talks. We're here tonight with episode number 9, named Coffee Black. Welcome Taylor, welcome Lance.
Hey guys.
Hello.
All right, so we open up the scene with young Tuck going to buy a rifle for Jonah.
Yeah, this one's a little bit eerie, and I'd be interested to see how any non-American listeners view this scene, because it's got to be extra strange for them.
Right, yeah, and it's the very obviously visually and known in the town as handicapped boy that should give pause to the guy selling the rifles. Let's put it that way. And the buying process is extremely simple, and he adds on all the stuff that we hear about in the news. You know, you want to stock with these spring clips help it, stabilize for shooting, and then
High capacity clip.
Right. First he says, but the high capacity magazine, the startling part about that is he doesn't even say it until after he tells him, the form's not right. You check this box. You can't acquire it on behalf of someone else. You need to check this one. He goes, okay. And he goes, high capacity magazine with that? Yeah. Good choice. And then even the clerk who sells it to him says, have a superstore day.
Yeah, I've never been involved in buying a gun before. I imagine that's a dramatized thing. I don't think, I guess that could occur, but I don't know.
Well, there's always these, I think if you search on YouTube for local or state news that covers gun shows in various parts of the country, and you could even probably search, Arkansas or Missouri. Mm-hmm. And just see, and probably there's videos of undercover reporters or people, left-wingers going in and undercover to show how easy it is. That is an issue. I've never purchased one myself either, so I don't know. But
yeah, I have no idea.
Anyway, worth looking into maybe for folks listening. You can leave us comments if you do find out. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we know they're dramatizing the whole gun control issue there.
Yeah, they leave us hanging there because we really have no idea what Tuck's motives are. So
no, but then he goes outside and he gives it to Jonah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he looks out for Jonah. Keep the safety on. Promise to keep the safety on.
Promise to keep that safety on. He goes, yes.
Yeah. So next we cut to morning routine at the Byrde residence. And I thought this part was interesting. I wasn't sure. Marty starts to pour himself a coffee, and Wendy says, I poured you some. And I wasn't sure if he seems surprised by that or if he seems reluctant to acknowledge it.
This whole episode is full of parallels. This is one of the places we can look back at later, but this is the first one they're going to show. It has to do with the cup. So, the getting each other a drink. So Wendy, I already poured you a cup. I think it's a combination of both, Taylor. I don't think those are mutually exclusive. I think he's reluctant to step back into it because we left at the end of the last talk between them was them fighting and her finding out about the video of her having sex with the lover and him knowing that and them confronting that together finally.
Yeah, and it plays out through the entire episode, the entire last 2 episodes, but there's nothing that needed to be resolved. They just needed to have the fight, and the fight was the resolution, and now the makeup unravels through the storytelling.
Right, and there's some important points about that later. Some of the critics of the show, or the people who are predicting what's going to be in season 2, were saying that
saying that we're going to see more than fighting.
Yeah, saying that we're going to see more than fighting and dealing with that breakup and all that stuff. And I don't think that's true, but we'll discuss that toward the end of the next episode. So keep that in mind too, folks, and think about what's going on between these two in these final So yeah, we saw Marty getting the kids ready for school. So everything's, as you said, it's still routine. They're keeping everything together and stable, and keeping the pillars of their life together. So even if things hit, they can withstand. He says, "You didn't need to sleep on the couch." And she says, "Well, I felt like I should." And then they have this intense moment of just staring at each other. It doesn't seem to me to resolve there yet. But they're kind of being present to each other and feeling the weight of what they've gone through. Is my take on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the importance of that particular scene is underscored by the title of the episode, Coffee Black, which also indicates just what you need to get through. No sugar, no milk, no cream, just the fuel. And Wendy is aware that Marty needs fuel and is providing it for him without him asking. So that's another important thing that scene depicts. She's showing up for him, and then we're going to see her rise up in a big way in that same exact way later on.
What, buddy?
Huh? Nothing. I was just thinking. If my ex-wife and I had it out like that, we might still be together. Anyway, the two of you are up to your ball sacks in drama. I'll tell you that.
Next scene we get to is a fire at church with Marty. So there was an arson. The cops show up. The sheriff shows up. Is there anybody who'd want to burn the church? And as we know, we saw that it was Mason who burned the church. They showed us that in episode 8, or episode 7, whatever it was. And do you intend to collect insurance? Yes. Well, you can't do anything now. There's an arson investigation. He's like, I have a crew showing up. He tries to outwit the sheriff, and the sheriff is proud to say no. Marty says, I've got a contract. And the sheriff says, I've got an active crime scene. Goodbye. Next scene, Marty bolts over to the farmer's market to see Jacob Snell.
Yeah, he confronts him on this quite boldly and in public as well. He assumes that they're the ones that burned the church. And they kind of clue him in that it was Mason, and that Mason knows all about Marty now.
Yeah. It's an intense scene of one-upping. Marty stays firm as he learns the new information, though. And then Darlene comes in with an evil threat, talks about it being a gesture. And you told him about our operation, Jacob says, and you stole our anonymity. You gave us back our distribution, but you stole our anonymity. You know what we did? We stole yours. We told them all about you and your money laundering. And they just tell him, Mason did it. And they're seeing that Marty's seeing that Jacob is able to move pieces like the way he is, the way Marty is able to. And in a certain sense, they have more power than Dell does locally. Maybe not globally or internationally, but locally they have more of a foothold than Dell or his people. They're complete outsiders there. So then Darlene says, be grateful it was only your church that burned. So we see her just being a completely threatening force. And I think her and Jacob balance each other out, is that Jacob can rest on the fierce threats of Darlene and her ability to follow through on them. That kind of gives him some more power.
Yeah, I kind of have the impression of Darlene as a wild dog on a leash that Jacob kind of keeps in check.
Right. So that scene I thought was great. I liked seeing Marty duke it out with Jacob and be pretty full force about it. They're both going at each other, and it's stalemate up to them so far. Next, we see Wendy, and Agent Evans comes up and confronts her. What do you got there, Taylor?
Yeah, he comes up and offers her witness protection again. And I don't remember how exactly she flips it around on him, but she basically calls his bluff.
He said, this is your last chance for witness protection. A wave's about to crash on Marty. So, why don't you take the life raft? And she says no. And he says, maybe I'll go talk to the Mexican. And then Lance, you were going to fill it in from there.
Yeah. I don't remember how. It was some sleight of hand took place.
Well, she says, well, she said, I don't think that's in anyone's best interest if you go talk to him. Because the reason you're confronting me here at the store instead of at home where he can see me and he can see you is because you don't want it to be known that you're here going after them. Because if they know that they're just going to kill Marty and I, and then your whole case is shot. So she basically says that she knows why he's singling her out there when she's alone, and that she's got him, and then he stops. So he's shut down basically by her loyalty to Marty and the family. She steps up here and decides in favor of Marty and the family instead.
Yeah, she says, go approach the Mexican yourself.
Yeah, go ahead and do it. See what happens.
Yeah.
So Evans is shut down as we see him, as we see happen to him over and over, basically by everyone. He seems to be one of the nicest and more straight of all the characters that we've seen up to now. Him and the private detective, I think, are kind of like solid guys. Outside of Marty, but the thing about Marty is that Marty got himself involved by like sheer ignorance and greed, and that's what he's facing now. That he had the illusion that he needed that, and then it fucked him. So he wasn't aware and straight from the beginning, but he is now. And that's where those two guys differ. They're kind of pillars that have helped him in a certain sense. So then we got to Petty and Russ. It's a pretty tough scene.
Yeah.
I think it's equally tough for Petty and Russ, because a person doesn't get to the type of behavior that Petty's compulsively enacting unless they're in a lot of pain.
Mm-hmm.
So I was angry and upset by and disgusted by Petty up to now, and the looks on his face when he's realizing what he's done and what he has to do show that he's crushed, and I think that hints at what must have happened with his partner and all that after the mom had died.
Yeah, you have to, when you keep that in mind, when from that recap show, you do see that he's covering up.
He wasn't bad in the first place. He wasn't wrong.
No.
So Russ is waking up, and Petty, at first, is Petty seeing his lover waking up, and he's looking at the pamphlet or the brochure of the business that they were going to do together.
Yeah.
No, I've been thinking places that me and you we could be. There's this spot in Oregon. I'm sure we could get an investor to come in.
Russ, stop. I need you to hear something. Promise me that you won't try to kill Martin Byrde again. I need the words.
Why is...
Just listen.
I won't try to kill Marty Byrde again. What is that?
Well, it amounts to a confession.
No, why do you have it?
I'm an FBI agent. And I have you on conspiracy to commit murder.
Yeah, it's pretty crushing for Russ in that moment, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And he, I think he's so crushed by it, he even tries to just flip it around and deny the whole thing. You know, he tries to protect himself emotionally by saying that Petty turned him.
Yeah, the Petty turned him gay. Russ
Mm-hmm.
melting down.
Yeah.
I think what I saw here when Russ was sitting there, just sitting there, feeling crushed and he can't breathe, was that I get the sense that that's the same crushing defeat he's faced throughout his life. And this time he felt like it was real love that just came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just crushed again. So I think that the Russ, in a certain sense, dies right there.
Fuck off me! Stay down! You think I just happened to be right next to you when I needed somebody who knew the lake? Huh? I found you. 07, Jeff City, you were arrested for picking up a 19-year-old male prostitute. So no, I did not fucking turn you. Now you work with me, or everyone's gonna know about it.
So the next scene we get to is Wendy and Sam, the realtor, her boss. And he tells Wendy about the argument between him and his mom, firing her, and then her getting hit by the garbage truck and dying. She offers help, tells him I can cover things here at the office. She's being totally friendly and trying to be helpful. And he says, yeah, I will need some of that money back. My mom had a lot of funeral requests. And she says, okay, I'll talk to Marty tonight.
There was one great line that I don't want to miss here. It's equal parts hilarious and sad, where Sam says, I'm never going to be able to take out the trash without thinking about her.
Right. And Wendy has to keep it together, basically. What the fuck are these people? So next scene, we cut to Marty at the Blue Cat with Rachel. And the last scene we saw with them was that falling out, basically, where they arrived at the detente where Rachel wouldn't turn them in, but Marty would stay away. And that he wouldn't tell her anything about what he's doing. So he needs to be in the Blue Cat for a week. Marty offers to protect her and leaves a message on her phone basically saying, hey, if you try to turn me in, I'm going to kill you if you do anything against me. You know? So he gives her the ability to wash her hands of the situation should he be caught. Mm-hmm. And he says, if I miss this deadline, the whole family dies. So she agrees. Mm-hmm.
That's Marty again, playing 100% to win. All his chips on the table there.
Yeah.
Look, true or false, you have no idea what it is that I do or who I do it for.
That is not the point.
You've never helped me, and I will make sure that you never would help me. You've never signed anything. You never even hand me a goddamn pen, which means there will be nothing to implicate you in whatever it is that I do, okay? Even so, I know that if the authorities caught me, if they busted me, they would try everything that they could to link you to me, right? And it would be very, very difficult for you to prove that you didn't conspire, unless, of course, I made it very easy for you to prove your innocence.
What are you doing?
Is this your iPhone?
Give me my phone
All right,
back,
hold on one
Marty.
second. This is almost over. Rachel, you let me back into the Blue Cat to finish my business, or I'm going to come for you. You understand what I'm saying? I will kill you. I will throw your body in the lake, and no one will find you. No one will know. Okay, I get caught. That's all you'll need.
So next I've got is Russ talking with Ruth. He asks her if she wants to bury the hatchet. And basically starts trying to bait her into saying that she's going to try and kill Marty. Because the trailer's bugged. And I don't think that she really catches on to anything fishy at this point, but she doesn't take the bait either. And it's kind of alarming how quickly that doesn't work, and then Russ is immediately on the phone again with the FBI agents, and they're saying, "Try again."
Yeah, like that they can't. They've been waiting and searching all this time that they can't wait a few seconds or a few days to come up with a better plan or try and trap her or something different.
Mm-hmm.
But that the case is there and that they're gonna throw it away by pushing. Yeah, I thought that was really pushy and weird. But
Yeah, that was short-sighted for sure.
Yeah.
We've also got a little bit here between Petty and Evans where Evans kind of catches on what happened with Petty and Russ, and he says, you didn't, did you? And Petty just says, "I got it done." And Evans says, "You're a fucking animal."
Yeah. That was insane. One thing I wanted to mention back at the scene with Russ and Ruth, when Russ says, "Let's bury the hatchet," they have this cut, this shot where it's showing the beer, it's focusing on the beer, and you're seeing the lamp and the beer on the table. And then in the background on the left is Ruth and her hair. And on the wall, almost the same color as her hair, is that snake poster with the snake coiled up saying, "Don't tread on me." And that was the flag of the states, resisting. Or was it either the states or the colonies resisting the British rule? So we see that flag in the background, and Ruth and Russ having that interesting talk. And that shot kind of frames the whole scene with the idea of "don't tread on me" there. And so they're drinking beers and making up in a way. And Russ says, "Thanks for not telling your dad on me. I was jealous of you." And he tries to play on her heartstrings and her loyalty to the family, the loyalty to the Langmores. But of course, something that's interesting about that is she doesn't have any loyalty to the Langmores anymore, but Russ doesn't know that. Mm-hmm. She has loyalty to the Byrdes because they've treated her way better than anyone there. Russ hit her, Wendy helped her. Her dad fucks her up, Marty gives her tons of money and trusts her.
Yeah, her loyalty isn't in some idea of the Langmores. It's in the care she has for individuals now, which would be Marty, Wendy, Y3. There's no kind of blind loyalty to this entity that is the Langmores anymore.
And I wrote down that Ruth is totally weirded out. So the impression I got was that she was onto something, but not sure what. Maybe she just thought Russ was crazy at this point. Mm-hmm. But then we see Russ, Petty, and Agent Evans, and Russ didn't get a confession. We need specifics. And this is when Russ goes to meet with Petty and Evans. He actually shows up at the hotel room. And that's how Evans sees that Petty slept with Russ. He's looking at his face, and Russ is acting all like an ex-lover with Petty. And he says, "Jesus, fuck you, idiot." And I really like the use of "Jesus, fuck" in this show. I think it's great. And sometimes I think maybe it wasn't scripted. I like to think of that. And if any of the writers or anybody close to the show hears this, this is the kind of stuff we want to know. How much of this stuff was improv based on the character and what they might say, and then how much of it is actually scripted. And with jazz, you never know if they're playing a standard and playing it exact, or if they're improvising along the way. And the best musicians, it's hard to tell the difference. So here, I think we're seeing some of that with the writing. They're leaving some stuff open-ended for us. And then, of course, it gets to the part you mentioned. "I got it done. You're a fucking animal." And then Petty's in pain when Evans leaves. You see Petty put his head into his hands. So that's one of the moments that he's starting to break.
Next thing I've got is Marty and Wendy working in the blue cabin. And Wendy's just basically expressing that she doesn't trust Rachel. I don't know if that's kind of just complaining at this point because Rachel knows what she knows. I think Marty handled it as best he could. But Wendy gives a line here that for me, kind of summed up this episode, which was it never ends. I feel like this whole episode and the show in general, but this episode distinctly gave me this feeling of like just obstacle after obstacle, ball keeps on rolling, you know.
Yeah, and when she says it never ends, Marty says, well, I don't know what you want me to say. I'm not even thinking about that right now. I'm not thinking about the future of us getting a bunch more money back to launder and under a bunch more threat. I'm thinking about sending the rest of the 8 million in and keeping us alive right this second.
Mm-hmm.
Basically. So he's just completely transfixed on the details of the moment, just fixed on those. And then they discuss their discussion. They discuss their argument.
You want to talk about our fight?
Nope. You do, though, huh?
No. I said everything I need to say. I just wonder if you heard me.
I heard you. Did you hear me?
Yes, actually.
Good.
And then she says, if we weren't stuck, would we still be together? And he waits a long time and says, I don't know. And then he says, thank you for not taking the FBI deal.
And pretty much right there, Sam shows up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sam shows up at the Blue Cat, and they go outside to talk to him because obviously they couldn't have him inside where they were working on stuff. And he kind of puts his foot down again, like he learned to do with his mom just before she got smashed by a garbage truck. He ends up telling them he wants his fucking money.
Right. Yeah, Sam. And Marty says, that's all we need when Sam shows up. And Marty comes out full financial advisor and tries to stop him. And then Sam hardlines.
Yeah.
My fucking money. Do I need to call a lawyer?
Yeah, because Marty had just transferred the 8, so they were just cleaned out. They were dry. And as they do on the spot, they came up with the solution for the situation, which was to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
And
right, and he turns the tables on him completely. That's what was so amazing. It wasn't a minor giving in, or it wasn't a compromise at all. Marty just rose and reframed the entire discussion. He rose above it. He transcended the content of the whole thing and the level where the argument was happening. He went so far above it that Sam was apologizing to him. He goes, oh man, sorry, I got like way out of control there. Sorry, Marty. You know? And Marty even makes himself look good by offering for Wendy to go help him, knowing that Wendy's going to be able to help control that process.
yeah, when someone takes a power position on Sam, he turns into a dunce. He just reverts back to that child.
Right. So his force, or his show of force, was just kind of a bluff.
Yeah.
He could. He was going down the line of like, what do I say to kind of pressure to get my money back.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both stunned right after it happens that they were able to pull that off. And he says, funerals are what, 10 grand? Which of course foreshadows the next big discussion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that scene with the funeral director, man, that guy is an incredible actor. Did you see the subtlety in what he was doing? It was amazing.
Oh yeah, he was holding himself and really presenting it as though it was the only option and it was the best thing in the world.
With the slightest glimmer of greed in his face. It was beautiful.
Very good, yeah. And we see here Wendy at the funeral home, and it starts with the explanation of extreme embalming, which in this case is going to be, they're going to have the mom like putting a piece of art on the wall, like frame her dead body in that way and hang it there. And that was going to be, starts at $19,000. And then they were going to do what was it? Compress her into a diamond, and they were going to 49,000 total with headstone, or no, 49,000 before tax plus the headstone. And
The
that
headstone, I thought she was being made into a ring.
yeah. He says, she goes, oh,
Oh, of course.
oh, of course, yeah. And 150 people at a buffet, and you can see no one really probably cared about this lady. And Wendy says, this price isn't accurate. He says, yes, it is. She said, do we have any wiggle room here? And he says, no. And so this reminds me again of the Jim Camp negotiation books and his approach, which is called Start with No. And that's where the actual negotiation begins, because at no, you've cut through the emotions, and then the facts start to emerge. And what we see here is a supremely prepared Wendy, who calls him by his first name, hey, Harry, do you have a business partner? And she basically works him down the line there by telling him she knows that he needs a new roof on the building. She knows that he could make an appointment with him immediately, that he has no other business, that his business is basically falling apart. So she works him completely by knowing ahead of time everything about his situation, and in some sense, having more clarity about his situation than he has. So this reminds me of something that Ramit Sethi brings up, which is the briefcase technique. He brings this up in his dream job stuff, and you can read it online. And I recommend it to people who are looking for jobs. You can search that on YouTube. It's just a short little thing that I think is really valuable. And in this case, it has applications outside of applying for jobs. But you see that Wendy has essentially walked into the situation with a briefcase full of data on the guy and on everything that's going on, so that she can reframe and take control of the whole situation. And at the end, she says, what if I had an alternate solution? Rather than him ripping off a desperate guy, she's going to buy the business. So we see a really cool move happen there. That's what I was mentioning earlier, that this is where Wendy has Marty's cup of coffee filled before he even has to ask for it. Next scene, a beautiful scene. We see Marty and Wendy at home. Marty's at home with a drink, and Wendy gets home and says, there's no hitman out front.
I love the casual way in which she says that.
He's a little shocked. He says, we're done for now. We did it. I transferred the last of the 8. Wendy's crying, basically almost in shock and happy at this point. She says, I want one of those. And Marty already had a glass for her there. So we see it reciprocated, again, without Wendy asking for it, not assuming, nothing. So this time through, watching this episode, I see Marty and Wendy each taking steps toward each other in really simple, symbolic ways. And this is a great clear scene. It's wonderful, very happy. So they get like 20 seconds of respite.
I think there we also get the reveal that she bought a funeral home.
Hey, there's no hitman out front.
I transferred the last of the 8.
We're done.
For now. Yeah. We did it.
I want one of those.
Wendy. Cheers. How'd that Sam thing go?
We own a funeral home now.
Of course we do.
Yeah, what a beautiful scene.
Yeah, and Wendy's empowered.
And then, of course, Marty's empowered in a way, too, and their whole relationship is in their choices.
Yeah.
So we see some solace, connection, and I think beauty in that moment, real peace. So we see that the one of the rewards of the presence that Marty has, because he stays completely focused on the details of what's going on around him, he can squeeze a huge amount of peace and solitude and even delight or celebration out of these tiny little moments between the action or between the dramas. So we see that, seen that theme with him multiple times. He's not ever doing good or bad or horrible or awesome. He's on the ride and is present for each part of it. Probably more so than any of the other characters that we see.
As we go along further, I could see where people start to question Marty Byrde as his character, his moral character, and the way that he treats people. We'll talk more about that later.
Right, and this is an insanely important point in the art of not giving a fuck, because a person walking that razor's edge is not ever going to live up 100% to any outsider's ideas and expectations about ethics or morality. They're only going to be living up to what the details of their actual circumstances are demanding of them, or welcoming them to do, or inviting them to do, or providing the opportunity for. So the approach to life, the perspective on life, is so dramatically different than the approach of the problem-focused life, for example, or of any other approach to life where you have a top-down, like we talked about at the beginning of these recordings, the top-down ethics or morality or religious system that you're trying to force onto reality. Then you're always going to find everyone in reality lacking. That's why we see all these moralists, or everyone on the right saying everyone on the left is morally corrupt, or everyone on the left saying everyone on the right is morally corrupt. It's a constant judgment. If you have a top-down moral system, reality can never line up with it for completely or forever, even if it does line up. But if you have zero top-down or template morality or ethical system, besides being true and authentic to yourself and to your circumstances, then other people may not understand that. And for the most part, they probably won't understand that, because they're going to be evaluating your choices not based on your circumstances, but based on how they think you should be acting or reacting. That's Marty's power, and essentially why some people hate him too. No one can pin him down or program what his next move is.
So Russ tries again, and this time Ruth catches on big time.
You want that cash so bad, you do it.
But you were the one who learned to clean it. That was the whole plan.
Get out of my way.
No. Just say you'll try it again.
You're acting fucking weird.
Just want to make sure you're holding up your end. Kill Marty Byrde and get his money.
I never wanted to kill Marty Byrde. That was your idea. And frankly, I don't know why you want to kill him so badly. He's a good guy and a great businessman. And since I'd very much like to keep my job, how about you kindly get the fuck out of my way?
Russ breaks the lamp, and Petty says at this moment, and this is probably recorded too on the FBI equipment, Petty says that she's on to him. But he recognizes at that moment that Ruth knows something. And then Russ says, it doesn't mean shit, I can do this. And Evan says, try again, but not so hard. I can't just tell him to try again right away.
Yeah.
So Russ goes out, gets the guys together, the boys, and sends Wyatt and 3 off in their truck. And he tells Boyd he's going to kill Marty the next day and escape before the feds even know. And they ask if Ruth is going to come along. He said, no, Ruth ain't doing shit. Ruth isn't going to kill Marty. We're going to do it.
And Russ tells his brother about the feds. Is that going on?
At this point, Boyd says, Russ, what's going on? Oh, and again, this is where we have our third pillar, our third straight guy in the show. To me, in this episode, Boyd, I realized that Boyd was actually living up to his own ethics the whole time, in a certain sense. Mm-hmm. And he really tried. It didn't lead him down a very good road, but he did stay clean of the whole situation, in a certain sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, Russ, what's going on? And they're outside the bugged trailer. Russ says, I fucked up. The feds are in town. And she fucking knows. So she fucking did that. She knows. And he explains the whole thing to Boyd. Says he's going to get 15 years in prison. So what he wants to do is kidnap Marty, get the money, and then kill him, and then escape to Canada. So they're headed your way, Lance. So at the end of that scene is capped with Boyd telling Russ, I'm coming with you. My brother, man, I'm coming with you. So they're both ready to go. They're both going to get out of the Ozarks. And in a way, that's true. So the next scene, we see Rachel and Garcia pulls up with a special delivery for Marty. Marty's at the funeral for Sam's mom, and Garcia says, I'll wait. These guys like to wait, don't they? They all do. Stick around. No problem. Just listen to music in the van all day. So Jonah does a little staring contest with Garcia. I think it disturbs Garcia a little, enough to pull out and show Jonah his pistol.
Yeah, that's pretty creepy to see that and the way he does it.
Yeah, you see, Garcia's getting a fair amount of fun out of this job. I don't think he cares much about well, we see Buddy bring that up a little bit later, too. So he shows him his gun, and Jonah and Tuck are tying up the boats for the day, or for the season, I think. And Tuck, the ever-perceptive Tuck says, you okay? And Jonah says, I need a favor. Cut to Russ heading out, and he's telling the boys to pack their essentials. Turn on the stereo, do not talk in the trailer. They ask, and Russ just keeps telling them, just say nothing and do not tell Ruth, do not talk to Ruth, no Ruth on any of this. And we see Jonah, he's got the gun, he buries it in the woods. It's fully loaded with the extra bullets in the big magazine, high-capacity magazine, excuse me. And then we get to, and Buddy is out in the woods seeing Jonah get the gun, and Buddy unloads it and then reburies it there. So
we also saw, before we see Jonah in the woods hiding the gun, we see Russ at the store buying all of his implements of murder.
Yes.
And it's kind of a parallel to the story. You actually see in the background Tuck walking out with a rifle. So that.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Yeah, so that part that we saw at the start of the episode was actually right here.
Wow! Shit!
I think again we hear the as Russ is buying all of these implements, we hear the "Have a Superstore Day" again.
Oh, right, we do. Oh man, I missed it. That is a great. Did you catch that one, Lance?
I did, yeah.
Oh my God, you guys, that's a sweet one. So Jonah just asked Tuck, "Hey, I need you to do me a favor." That's when he buys the fucking gun. Oh my God! So Tuck does that under extreme duress. Brings it back to Jonah. Oh my God! So Jonah just got that sucker and brought it to the woods and buried it. And Buddy's like, "Oh, what's little Jonah up to?" And remember, we've described Buddy as the guy who plays Death in the whole show. And in this case, we see Death is like, well, no, I don't think I'm going to let Jonah take, going to let Jonah take the Reaper role yet.
Yeah.
You know, he's deciding for him. No, it's not.
Yeah.
You don't get to do this one. No.
Yeah, Buddy sees all. He's in the basement.
He's got a relationship.
He's got things. Yeah.
He sees the whole deal. All right, so Ruth gets home, and Wyatt immediately tells her, "We can't talk in the trailer." And Ruth's like, "What the fuck is going on here?" And Wyatt tells her his whole theory that he worked out. He tells her that they took the guns and that they're leaving tonight. That's right. He theorizes what's going on later. He puts it all together. Is Wyatt going? Ruth asks, and he says yes. And Ruth can't go, obviously. She knows that. And they hug, and this was one of my favorite scenes in the whole show. Was them hugging there, and Ruth's face and Wyatt's face. Wyatt was fully loving right there and just being present to Ruth. And Ruth's face was so fierce. She was managing the emotion of ferocity against Russ and Boyd and facing the entirety of the situation, how heavy it was, and at the same time completely loving and tender and open to Wyatt and able to let him go.
That's it.
What?
I'm not supposed to be talking to you.
What the fuck's going on?
Dad and Boyd got into some business thing and we're leaving town.
What thing?
I don't know. I'm guessing not actual business. They took the guns.
When are they splitting?
Tonight.
And you going with them?
Just my dad. I'll let you know where we are when we settle.
So she looks out at the lake, and we see a cutscene, and it shows the whole lake, or a huge pan out of the lake, all dark and heavy at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And we see the lights of the Blue Cat in the distance, and then we see the Garcia delivering $50 million in the van. So the intensity ramps right back up, higher than it's ever been for Marty and Wendy. Well, I'll take that back. I don't think it ever can get more intense than it has been, because of what they've faced already has given them the tools to face the ramp up in intensity. So it can never be as shocking as the first shocking ambush when Marty was brought to his knees by Dell. From then on, everything's living on stolen time, essentially. So they can face greater and greater levels of intensity, and it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. The ball is rolling. Exactly. So she said, "How'd it get here so fast?" And he's like, "What do you think? I drove it here, you know? It's not wrapped, so wrap it. You're smart, you'll figure it out. And I'm gonna stick around and make sure you do." Total ass. So Marty just faces it head on. I mean, zero pause at all. And he's like, "Okay, so we're going to put it in the far cabin." And Wendy's like, "What? It's going to take us 2 days at least." And he says, "That's why we're going to need more hands." The cut here, or the shot, cuts to the camera outside the window of their minivan while they're talking. And it says "inaudible" on the subtitles, so that we know. They're just telling us we already know they're talking about the kids. Because who else knows, who else is close enough to the situation to help stack that cash? They're not going to call Jacob and Darlene. Not going to call Sam, you know what I mean? Like, who else? They're not going to call Rachel. So they're the only people that can actually help is the kids, and the kids have to save their own life. So the next scene is kind of beautiful. The kids and the family all stacking and wrapping the money. Charlotte is basically completely hilarious and bitter and cutting with everything she says in this scene.
She's got that special teenager sass.
Yeah.
That's why we're going to need more hands.
No.
Couldn't spare a couple bucks for psoriasis, huh?
It's not our money.
Yeah, and it's not a disease.
Oh my God. Okay, one more box to go.
I'm starving. You two are breaking like 10 child labor laws right now.
All right, let me hammer this piece in here. I'll go see what Rachel's got in the kitchen, okay?
All right.
It's like a Christmas tree moment.
It is. Yeah. It was, yeah. And then we see Russ and Boyd on the lake, and it's all dark. It's just a silhouette of them in the boat heading toward the Blue Cat, and the music's all ominous. They're getting near the Blue Cat, and then we see the family has finished hiding the money. The kids are out in the car, and it's nighttime. Probably pretty late is what my guess is at this point. And Russ and Boyd go to get out at the dock. Russ grabs the dock and gets electrocuted, and Boyd grabs him and also gets electrocuted. And they're both fried by the primary power and then again by the generator power. We get a nice, what the fuck was that? All kinds of fun stuff. I'm gonna go check it out. Rachel's there, Garcia's there. You smell that? What the fuck is that? Well, Rachel shows up because of course the power at the Blue Cat goes out. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, oh fuck. And they see Russ and Boyd laying more dead in the boat. And Rachel's asking Marty, did you do this? Did you do this? It's been rigged. And we see the rig. Mm-hmm. And at this point is when I started to feel like it was Ruth that saved Marty's life, because she was the only one who knew what Russ and Boyd were going to do. And
yeah, it was pretty shocking.
Yeah, Rachel says, someone did, oh, nice one, Lance. Someone did this on purpose, Marty, Rachel says. And we cut to Garcia almost kills Rachel in this moment because he basically thinks she's going to flip.
Yeah, she goes to call the police.
Yeah, Marty really does on this scene. Ruth's going to call the police, and Marty's like, yeah, Ruth will call the police because that's what she would do. She doesn't know anything, right? And Garcia is totally ridiculous person. Through yet. Mm-hmm. And he's like, look, if Rachel stays alive, then there's nothing to explain. This is an accident. If Rachel dies, then we can't explain that. Now we got a problem. So he's letting Garcia know that just because he thinks he's so cool and murderous doesn't mean he can escape the laws of the Ozarks. Mm-hmm. And Garcia at this point calls, and it's in Spanish that they did not put on subtitles, and reports basically drama to Dell. Mm-hmm. And Rachel calls it into the police. And, the sheriff is pretty good even about dead bodies so far. So we see that the sheriff sometimes has solutions as well. Next, Marty and Wendy kind of chill, tell the kids to go inside at their house, and then they freak out. The kids were there with us. Oh my God, what could have happened?
Yeah, I love how right after all that intensity, they pull up and Marty's like, yeah, go brush your teeth, go to bed. Right.
A great scene. And then Wendy says, who could have rigged that dock? And we see Marty knows already totally who it was. Mm-hmm. See? Marty and Ruth. Mm-hmm. And we hear a bunch of what ifs from Marty. What if the kids would have gone out there? What if Charlotte would have gone out to swim? What if Jonah would have gotten out in the boat? And Ruth says, the boats are all docked. It's too cold to swim. So she's like telling him, I thought through every potentiality here, Marty. This was the option. And he says, those were your uncles. And Ruth breaks down at this point. My guess here is that this is when Ruth's relationship with her dad fails and breaks forever. And she says, I couldn't have them kill you, Marty.
Yeah.
Wow. And the sobbing is pretty real. That's a good scene. It was heavy and beautiful.
They almost... they could have...
But they didn't.
The kids were with us.
I know.
Who could have rigged that dock?
Did it work?
Yeah.
shelter and storage. What if Charlotte had gone for a swim? It's too cold to swim. Those are your uncles. I couldn't have them kill you.
Yeah, it's powerful. Ruth, Marty's family appreciates Ruth, and that's their bond. And when the stakes are as high as they are in this story, that means actual death.
Yeah. And so Ruth is doing the right thing here.